Hi there, welcome to Transporter Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2022 Rpod RT190. We are just going to start off with the back of the unit. That's where you're going to find your spare tire. And then located on all corners of the unit, but of course coming to the driver's side today. Got stabilizer jacks, there's one in all four corners. The way they work, you run your 3/4 inch drive tool to 3/4 inch drive tint nut. Once the unit is already level, of course these are stabilizing jacks, they're not leveling jacks. Run this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just give you another 8/4 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bouncer sway you see we have in the unit right now away. In addition to that, these are stabilizing jacks, not leveling jacks. And if you're running them up or down with an impact, just keep in mind how much torque you put on them. This is where your one storage compartment is on the one side here. Coming a little further up ahead, you get your standard 30 amp twist lock connection. Most campsites should have this, and you can plug right on in. You just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Line that up, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, again, you come to that standard 30 amp plug in. Most campsites should have this. You can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is your standard household outlet. We do include that park adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you're using it. You won't be able to run your air conditioner. Realistically, it's just to run your fridge and your lights. You got your first of 2 drain outputs. This first one's your gray one. Take the cap, twist it off. Your sewer hose is gonna have the same ears. This is the one you want to empty second. Up ahead here is your black tank, which is the one you want to empty first. As it's gonna be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. Right up top here, fridge service port, not much you need to worry about there. And then you get your 2 low point drains, so if you don't want water going stale or stagnant, or you completed the winterization process, want to let a majority of that antifreeze out, that's where you do so. Fresh water drain right down below there, that's how you empty out your fresh tank. The fill for it is right here. You just put a garden hose in there, turn it on, that's what fills up your fresh tank. City water connection down below, so if you're at a site with service, thread a garden hose in there, turn it on, it pressurizes all the lines so that you need to run your water pump. Right down below, you get this tube. Take that cap, twist it one way. Sorry. Unlocks it. That's typically where you want to store your sewer hose. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, but after your first use, that's where you're going to want to keep it, as it just tries to keep as much smell out of the unit as possible. Right here, you get your fridge service port. Your hot water service port. 1.1/8" drain bolt right down there at the bottom. That's how you drain your tank. Whenever you first get to your campsite, just pull that pressure relief valve. There should be a shot of water that comes out of there. We currently have the tank drained and winterized because customer isn't picking it up till springtime, which is why there's no water coming out of there now. Right down here in this bottom corner, you got that hot water. You can either, if it's off, you're gonna be running it off gas. If you turn that switch on, it turns it on to electric. When you go to turn this switch on, just making sure that there's already water inside the tank, because as soon as you hit this on switch, that turns the element on. If the element runs out of water for even a few seconds, it could burn out that element. So just keep that in mind whenever you're using the electric. I'm gonna go over a reset procedure inside. The button I'm gonna refer to is just right there. Around the front of the unit, get your battery disconnect switch with it in the on position like it is now. The batteries are connected to the unit. Turning it to the off position would disconnect the batteries from the unit. In the front, you get your battery box. That's where your battery is located. Then underneath this cover here, this is where you get your standard 20-pound propane tank. Get what you need done most of the time just by reaching in there. It's 120-pound tank, counterclockwise like any standard barbecue to open up the flow of propane to the unit. Now, if this tank were to go empty, it is just as simple as undoing this wing nut right here at the front. The cover would slide right up place once that wing nut's out of the way. Around this side here, this is where you're going to open up this. This is where you're going to find your starter kit. In there is your 10-foot sewer hose, 15-foot water hose, some other miscellaneous goodies, including that 15 amp park adapter. And inside here, it's also where you're going to notice you have your griddle and your little table stand. It just mounts on the side track here. And the barbecue wood hookup says quick connect propane line right here. The flow of propane closed. You can operate the coupler, insert it into place. Once everything's inserted, opening up the flow of propane now opens up the flow of propane to the griddle. Black tank flush, it's very important you read the caution sticker whenever you are using it. I do recommend using it after every couple uses of the black tank. It just helps with false monitor panel readings and just keeping things that little bit cleaner. But it's very important that you do have the sewer hose connected and the black tank valve open, and just the reason being is if you're pushing pressure inside that tank, that pressure does have to have somewhere to go. If your valve isn't open, it could burst that tank. We don't want that. You get a little quick connect water line here. And then you get one more storage compartment on the outside right here at the back. And then for the best part, to get sit inside, you're taking that assist handle, pushing it up fully at 90 degrees, and it'll allow it to lock into place. You can then pull your fold out just like so. It'll allow you to open up your door. Taking a step on inside. First thing you notice off on the right is that fire extinguisher, which is just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. Up on the wall up top, that's where you get your controls for everything else. Porch light switch, turning that on, turns on that little porch light outside. Interior light switch, turns on all the main living space lights. And then you get your awning LED light switch as well, which turns on obviously the awning LED. You get your slide room control. Now before you ever run your slide out, it's always good to do a quick visual check inside and out, just making sure that nothing's gotten caught or shifted during travel in between the slide out and the wall, which is going to cause any damage. Once you do that, hold that out button, slide out's going to start making its way out. Once the slide out is at its full extension, you're going to hear the motors wind up and click. And that's all done. And then you get your awning control, push the extend button, awning starts making its way out. Once it does reach its full extension, you're going to see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Whenever you do put your awning out, always making sure you keep an eye on the wind speeds. Once they do start picking up, it's going to be pretty important when you bring that awning in. Otherwise, you do run the risk of bending your arms or ripping your fabric. That's all we're going to be able to go out today. Unfortunately, not at its full extension. But if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center. It's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now, if you like that angle better because it allows for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just making sure that you do push both arms back to straight before you try and bring your awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And to bring the awning in, it's as simple as hitting the retract button, watching the awning roll the right way in. Once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors will automatically cut out. If you happen to have to roll this in while it was wet, it isn't the end of the world. Just try and remember to roll it back out at your next earliest convenience and allow it time to dry off. That way you don't accelerate the growth of mold or mildew inside of it. Now the arm's contacting the side of the trailer, the motor's automatically come out, cut out, and it's all done. On the wall here, you get your stereo, which is pretty much just like home. Not much you need to show you there. Entertainment center. Behind this TV is where all the wires run through, so you can get up to your stereo. Right here on the wall, get your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. You have currently this back area set up as a dinette seating space, so you can eat, do what you need to do, office work, whatever. Let's say you had a guest you didn't expect. You can take the feet out from underneath the table legs, set the tabletop on its desired ledges, then take your back cushions to fill in the center and make yourself another bed. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. Kitchen area, pretty self-explanatory. Whenever you're using the storage inside this unit, of course, just be mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring. You're not going to be wanting to affect any of that as you pile your things in. Down below, you get your microwave. Up top, you get your stove. Now, I always recommend whenever you first get to your campsite, coming and running your stove first thing. The reason being, it's the quickest, easiest way to purge your propane system, because once your propane system is turned off the front, and if you disconnect one of the bottles especially, it does allow air into the system, or once air makes its way into the system, it does have to be purged out. Again, by doing that through the stove. The reason being is once I get my lighter, now that I have my lighter, whenever you open up one of these gas valves, it's going to be very important you have your lighter handy and it ready to light. The reason being, because it's a gas stove, you do have to be careful when lighting it. As soon as you turn the gas stove on, come with your lighter. If it doesn't light, turn it off, because again, you don't want a buildup of gas. If you have a buildup of gas here and then the lighter lit, it could cause a minor combustion. And if your face was close by, it's probably going to lose some eyebrows and eyelashes, something we want to avoid. So as soon as you get your lighter lit, which of course today it's not going to light. Anyways, if your lighter were lit, once you turn this over to the high and the propane did start coming out, keeping in mind, if the system's not purged, it can take a few minutes, so just be patient with it as long as you have your lighter lit near it. As soon as the propane does start flowing out, it'll light. Once you're able to light both, run it for a few seconds and then turn it off, and your system's purged. So that way when you go to try to fire up your water heater or your furnace, it fires up first try right away, especially when it comes to the fridge. If you were to flip that over in gas and it failed to light and you walked away because you already thought it was lit, everything in the cold fridge could go warm because the fridge didn't have a source of flame, so it would throw a fault code. So just being safe with it. Of course, there's an LP detector right here near the ground. If this guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply at the front of the trailer, open up some windows and vents and get some fresh oxygen inside of here. You got your monitor panel system here, so pushing the button tells you the corresponding level. And then you got your water pump switch, which draws out of your fresh tank. And then you got your water heater switch. So once you turn this switch on, water heater is going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this DSI fault light is going to stay on. At that point, turn this off, go hit that reset button I showed you earlier, and try firing it back up again. Again, it could just be a purging issue, so it's always good to try something that does fire off propane a couple times before you assume that there's a problem. Down by my feet again, you got your central vac system right over there. There's going to be a bag behind it to get access to it. You just got to slide that over, pull in the tab, pull it towards you. You see the bag right there. It does connect front and rear. Reason being, you got your little dustpan system here. So if you were to put some dust or dirt or dust, whatever in front of it, bring it back in. It does suck up whatever's in front of it. Just keep it in mind, it's mainly just for dust or dirt. You're not going to be wanting to put sticks or anything sharp in there because it all does get sucked up into that bag. Fridge in front of me. The controls for all that are up top. You get your temperature setting, 1 being cold and 9 being the coldest setting. On the 9th setting, it's also going to be the way to get it the coldest the fastest, and you can change your temperature set just by pushing the button. Now you got your different mode settings. So it's gonna, if it's set on auto is gonna be that setting there. With these 2 lit up, it's gonna first search for AC power. If you were to unplug the AC power and take it away, it would automatically switch over to gas, assuming that you have your gas on already and of course the system purged. Even though this will try lighting itself a few times, sometimes that could not be enough. So again, don't panic, try it again and make sure it's lit before you walk away. If you wanted it to solely run off gas, you just have to hit that button till the green line goes over on the gas side. And now that'll only run on gas. It's not going to run on anything else. Again, I recommend leaving that auto setting. And if you want to just turn it off, you can just turn it off. Storage all throughout. Standard bedroom space in the back here. Thermostat on the wall. Push the button once it illuminates itself. You can push it again. It's going to take you to fan. Now you can run that fan on either a high or a low setting, and that's just moving air around using the air conditioner. No heating or cooling involved. Pushing it one more time, that's when you get into cool high. So now that's air conditioning taken into effect, full force. Now you're going to see this auto come up. Whenever you're in the auto setting, it means it's an on-demand system. So if you currently have the room set to 12, if you set the room to 13 and it's 22, once the room reaches 13, it'll automatically kill the air conditioner. If you have that fan setting on high or low without the auto there, that system is going to run continuously until you actually manually turn it off. One more time, allow it to cycle you over to heat, so it'll kill your air conditioner, fire up your furnace. Your furnace only has 1 fan setting. It moves all its air through the floor portal you have right here. So if you want to get a little fan and stuff back there, it might be a good idea just to move some air more towards the rear. Pushing the button one more time, that'll bring you over to off. That turns everything off. But once you do fire your furnace, it does run for an additional 3 minutes even after it's off, just to allow itself time to cool down as an added safety feature. Inside the bathroom, again, going to be your pretty standard bathroom space. Light switch on the wall, vent lid over my head. If you do pull on that, that unlocks it counterclockwise to open it up. Now you're opening up straight into the atmosphere, so if it were to start raining and you forgot this open, it is going to get wet inside of here. If you were to forget it open during travel, there's a good chance you could damage it. Unless, of course, you went with a cover. It's a cover that goes over top of the vent lid It's going to protect you also a little bit more against hail as well. And if you'd like to get set up with that, again, it's just as easy as contacting the parts department, and they'd be more than happy to provide you with a quote. On the shower, you're going to notice one thing as well. You got this little valve on the bottom here. With it in the down position like it is now, the water is going to run straight through the faucet. Now the purpose of this little valve, it's called a recycler. So if you put it to the top position, you can dial in your temperature setting with your water, and you can continuously run it just back into your fresh tank. All this is doing is running this straight back into your fresh tank until you find that right setting, so that way you're not wasting any water. Now that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.